price. Let's put it that way. I've never seen where only one or two bids. Oh my God. Now you talk about there's a no bid situation and there's bids, 20 bids, which is the best situation, but try to deal with
Right.
two bids. That's
Crazy.
actually harder than no bids.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Why was that, do you think?
Low wallet count,
Okay.
my guess. Yeah. We actually talked about
Yeah.
it right then and there. And the
Okay, good.
it's audience development. That's always key, and they're
Sure.
working on that.
Sure.
And
Good.
they it was still a successful event. It's just
Yeah.
for that kind of cause, I would love for it to go bigger and bolder.
Bonkers. Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, this is really cool because you're talking. You said audience prep is what you call it,
Yeah.
or what do you
Oh
call it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Prepping that bitter. Prep the bitter.
So and it's so funny because I got your newsletter. We've known each other for a
Mhm.
really long time, and it caught my attention. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the same stuff we're saying. We got to have you on the pod. So Dean Crownover, thanks so much for coming, brother. I really, really appreciate it. My benefit auctioneer, published author about fundraising, one of the most prolific minds in fundraising coming out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. You called it prepping your bidders.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it caught my attention with regard to the live auction. These are like must-haves. I loved how you nailed it in 3 steps. You're like, you need to prep your bidders, and we're big believers in this. And I'll stop rambling about my opinions about how to go about it, but we're in lockstep. And you said it's called prepping your bidders, and you had these beautiful steps that I think people absolutely need to follow. Tell the audience why it's important, and then we'll get into the how-to.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. I love you guys.
Yeah,
Always love
love you
HGA.
too, brother. Thank you.
Best products out. And if you send me to Portugal, then I can really say how
We need
great
to do
it
some,
is.
yeah, we need to do, yeah,
No,
some
Portugal's
recon.
hot,
We
people.
need some recon.
Before I say
Yeah,
anything, get Portugal. Get their Portugal with the port sailing. I'm not just saying that
nice.
because they have that product. I'm saying because I'm selling it. It is awesome.
It's really
All right.
cool.
And I
Yeah,
predicted
yeah.
Portugal 2 years ago would be the hot thing, and now it is. So
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah,
feel like I'm also kind of a mystic.
you weren't wrong. You weren't wrong.
Here's I'm seeing a weird trend, and I think
Okay.
because coming out of COVID, out of
Yep.
virtual, and I came out in 2021, hitting the ground end of 2021 with live audiences
Yep.
pretty heavy. So virtual, you could do less marketing. It's all digital. You
Okay.
didn't have to create physical poster boards or physical items for a ballroom anymore for marketing.
Right. Right.
I think what's happened coming out of it, people aren't used to doing it again. And
Hmm.
now my clients, I really instruct on.
So they're losing the fundamentals. They're losing the
They sure
fundamentals a
are,
little
and
bit.
even some of my clients
Sure.
or it gets lost in translation, or they're so stressed at the end. They really are. They work so hard. They're underpaid.
Hmm.
They are, trying to do everything. One or two people trying to get everything done, and it gets lost. I worked an event the other day that had no live auction display, and the emphasis on how important that is. And you wouldn't think it is in today's day and age because it's all digital. But I'm going to be very stereotypical here. It's a couple.
Hmm.
One person in that couple is getting all the emails from you, knows all the social
Correct.
media on this thing, knows what's going to be at this
Correct.
event, and the other person has no idea. And when they get there, oftentimes this is the first thing they see is a live auction posters. Now, I don't know if all auctioneers do this. I work that area during pre-function. I like to introduce who I
Smart.
am. I like to kind of make friends and then explain what the items are. Big, beautiful
Hmm.
posters that say the word live auction at the very top with a bunch of pictures and some bullet points. So important.
Hmm.
Then I'll go, well, I need a fund to need poster there too, because the fund to need is a whole different subject, as you know, but it's still one of the biggest money makers. And then in the program, they're forgetting to put it in the program. And I'm
Yep.
going, you have to assume they have no idea what's going on. And if they do
Yep.
put it in, oh my gosh, I will kid you not. I worked one the other day that was one poster that just was the titles of each, not even an item number, no description. And I just stood
Yep.
by the titles and I go, hey, these are what we have. Luckily, they could go to their phone on one of the mobile bidding platforms to find out more. But the truth is, they want to sit and look at these posters and they want to ask a person questions.
Yep.
Best money
Awesome.
you can
I
spend.
think it's super smart. Yeah, I think it's super smart. You said with these posters, you also said bigger is better.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I know you're saying that. Are you also saying we need more imagery? We need really succinct bullet points. Like, give me some more feedback there. Let's get in the weeds on that a little bit.
yeah.
What you think is going to be
Everybody's
best
visual.
practice?
Get some
100%.
okay, for instance, Portugal, let's use that. Now for Portugal, you're going to need a few pictures. You're going to need the big bullet points and including and this is all the major stuff, it's for two people, it's for 6 nights, it's an apartment in the heart of stuff, it's a sailing cruise with a port tasting. It's
Hmm.
2 years or whatever to use and then airfare not
Yep.
included and the little things like that.
Important
Yeah,
disclaimers.
yeah, and
Yep.
they don't have to
Yep.
be legalese. That's on everything else. The paperwork we're going to give them at the end, and you can put more in the
Okay.
digital description. But for the poster,
Correct.
no paragraphs, bullet points. People, it's
Boom.
Amazon, guys. Amazon doesn't have
Yep.
paragraphs. It's bullet points when you look at an
Good
item.
call.
People have had a few
Hmm.
drinks, believe it or not, at these events.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I just want to read the bill. I just want to boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes, got it. And what if there
Yeah.
are 4 or 5 people hovered around those posters, off in case there are, and they're looking over each other's shoulders, and they can see those
Beautiful.
bullet points much quicker than they can anything
Yep.
else.
Yep.
Add an item number because
Okay.
that way I can keep referring to that mobile bidding platform. I'll give you a great example. 2 weeks ago, I worked an event, turned out to be an amazingly, amazingly successful event. However, when I got there, the live auction display, and I kid you not, was 8 by 10 color printouts in frames. And that was tough because you've got 10, 20 people around a table and they're all trying to read, and it was tiny print. So they'd have to
Yep.
lift it up and look. And one of them was a raffle that didn't even say raffle. So I'm there explaining it all, but that kills your voice to explain that much. So it's one of those things I have to be aware because I'm not on stage yet. Don't do 8 by 10s. Put those in frames at the bars or the bathrooms, which I'm a big
Hmm.
fan of.
Hmm.
Use
Good
that
call. Oh,
space.
cool. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
But for 11 by 17 minimum,
18 by 24 stretch. Yeah.
please
Yeah.
please go
Yeah.
to I think even Office Depot, that kind of thing is now pretty inexpensive, but get a sponsor
Sure.
to make those posters. Foam board,
Love it.
just don't even question it. Just make
Yeah.
it. And you only need really one set for the live auction unless you have such a big space that people are going to be on another side of the room or you have a VIP and then they're going to come into the main room eventually.
Okay.
You're going to have it in the VIP and the main room if they're both running at the same time. You don't
Perfect.
need it in the
Yeah.
ballroom because you're going to have rotating slides that are basically the
Hmm.
posters of those live auction items.
Videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
video in your
Yeah.
case now.
Oh,
So this is great too. And again, uh, not everybody does this. If you've got video links, like you guys have video links for a lot of your stuff, you put that in the description, right? Or you put a QR code on the poster that will send over
we
to
have a
that,
QR code
right?
poster. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Super simple.
If you don't have pro video like you guys have, let's just say somebody
Hmm.
gave a beach house, right? That's not an
Hmm.
item
Hmm.
that is professional.
Donation. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
bet you can find some kind of promo from Chamber of Commerce or something like that about the area.
Hmm.
So, and let's just say that house is on VRBO. So you can pull
Hmm.
those pictures, create a little video
Images.
and a little
Yep.
video
Yep.
of what's around. So there's a lot you can do. People
I
respond to
agree.
30 seconds, guys, no more than 30-second videos, maybe a minute at most.
Hmm.
But for the most part,
Yeah.
it's just to get that visual in my head of, ooh, that's like 30A is a beach a couple hours away from us in Atlanta, seaside.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that beautiful house,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I think we're touching on some really important points here. I think that as you mentioned, the more imagery the better, right? People communicate and are sharing stories and are ingesting information via video number one. If you can get that done, it'd be great. You can go into Canva, have someone, someone on your staff or a volunteer that knows someone. Maybe they can donate their time. It'll take them an hour to put that video
Or
together. That
spend
kind
the
of
money
thing.
on even
Super.
Fiverr if you don't have
I'm
access
with
to
you. Yeah.
anybody. Fiverr
Agreed.
or a high school kid.
Agreed. I'm
That's
telling you,
just
they're
somebody
out there.
you got a kid who has a
They are
friend
out
who can
there.
do it if your kid can't.
Yeah, they are out there, and it's been a game changer to have video for us during the live auction that you can play for that 30 seconds or what
Oh,
have you.
I'm glad you said that,
And
and I want to say something on that.
yeah. Oh yeah,
I'm
please
such
do.
a
Yeah.
huge fan of that.
Okay.
I will have them embedded into the slide. and
Right.
it will play behind me without sound because usually we have some kind of music. My show is pretty high energy,
Yeah, and
so
then you have the
got some kind of
microphone. Yeah,
music going on
yeah,
and as I'm talking about it, they'll watch that as I'm talking about it. It'll land on the slide that's got the bullet points in the picture that mimics the poster. So you don't have
yep,
to recreate the
yep.
wheel for each of this media types. It's
I love it.
basically the
Yep,
same template. And if I can say one thing, and I'm sure
yep.
people are going to disagree with me, but I'm the expert, so I'm always correct, is
Okay.
is flowery
Yeah,
language, get rid of it in your
okay.
descriptions.
Brevity.
And
Yep,
and
brevity.
it can
Good.
have a couple of adjectives or adverbs that are great, adjectives that are great. But like I
Yeah.
read a sentence the other day that I had to edit out because it was like all this flowery language about the beach. And I'm like, no, 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 they get it. They know what the beach
They know
is.
that. Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
room, it can say spacious and beautiful. Okay.
More isn't always
No,
more when it comes to that
people
kind of
don't want,
stuff.
they don't want to
Yeah.
read all that. Give me the
Well, you said
basics.
something really interesting, Dean. You said something really interesting. You're like bullet points, get to the point, brevity, all these things. There's things that we have to include in there. I get it, but you said something that's it's so true. You're like Amazon, it's not long,
Mhm.
paragraphs and all this. Because at the end of the day, donors are consumers. They might have more resources, they might have more access, they might have more wealth, what have you. They care about the mission, but they're consumers at the end of the day. And we're everything that we're talking about actually is a consumerism component,
Yeah.
obviously, because we're selling these
Yeah.
items to raise money. I know it's a little more nuanced than a brick and mortar company, for instance, but we're selling these items. What I was always contending, there's another bullet point that you had that I want to get to, but my contention with regard to advertising auction items in general, especially live auction items, is that even if we could, and you made a really great point, maybe one member of the couple is the only one that's getting the emails or the only one that's really active on social and really really plugged into everything that's going on. However, that's another advertising tool that will spark interest, and maybe that forces that one member of the family to have the conversation with their spouse. So be it. I'm a big believer in not leaving anything to chance, using your social platform, using your website, using the mobile bidding site to advertise these items in advance, because I actually don't think that they should be a surprise the
A
night of.
100% agree.
You know what I mean?
Couples,
Yeah.
individuals, but especially couples,
Mm-hmm.
make decisions at home on two things. Number one, how much are
Correct.
we going to give in the
Yeah.
fund to need? And if you have
Okay.
given them the amounts we're going to ask for, you're going to get a higher
Mm-hmm.
amount at the event because they have talked it through, budgeted, da 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 da. If
Sure.
you
Sure.
surprise them, they're going to give you the minimum.
Yes.
Live auction is the same, but the live auction
Yes.
has a different component. We have to get them in love with the idea of the trip, emotionally attached. So
Mm-hmm.
when if they're on the verge of losing it during the bidding war,
There's an attachment.
they're
Yep.
gonna
Yep.
yeah, they're gonna hit the gas and
It's the fear of missing out.
oh,
Yeah. Fear of losing. Fear of
they
missing
need
out.
to
Yeah.
see
Very good.
themselves on that trip before they even show up to your event. And your job
Love it.
is to make that happen. And that's where I think a lot of the disconnect is. If
Mm-hmm.
you work at the nonprofit, again, overworked, underpaid, you're doing great, great work, by the way.
Yep.
You, it's easy to skip some steps because you know that item very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Your guests do not. And you,
Correct.
if you're and I always say this, guys, when you are in the weeds and you
Mm-hmm.
don't know, you have so much to do, you don't know what to do. Two
Mm-hmm.
things. Number one, push that fund to need first. That's that's where the money is for just free donations. And number two, push the
Yep.
live auction. So if you can just center back on those,
Yep.
or if they're doing a raffle, I would always say that's number three.
Sure.
Then
Sure.
then everything else will fall suit. And it's okay if some of the other stuff goes away, but you cannot ease up on pushing those two things.
On the
You
opportunity there.
have
Yeah,
to.
absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's an emotional game for
I,
buyers.
I I've said this over 100 times to folks. I say the reason why we want to advertise and the reason why mobile bidding software is so great, and you have the advent of all these things and your social channels. And I said people are going to figuratively pack their bags before they even show up. Maybe they're going to invite another couple and they're going to, oh, I want to go too, or what have you. There's so much synergy there that we really miss a lot of
You're
times.
absolutely right.
I'm going to,
No, I want to say something.
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't even think about that.
No, please
We've
do.
done that. My
Yeah,
my wife
yeah,
and myself have done that where we're looking at
yeah,
item and we haven't even won it, and it literally
yeah.
is who are we going to invite? You're right.
Hmm.
I didn't even think about that, but that's true.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it's easy for me to sit here from where I'm sitting, being the trips and experience fella, and talk about that. But there is a tremendous appetite for folks to move about right now.
Hmm.
The applications for new passports and passport renewals in the United States has hit 400,000 a week. That's tremendous. 400,000 applications a week. I'll give you some other data. 9 out of our top 10 bestsellers in 2023, and you're listening to this in October of 2023, 9 out of our top 10 best-selling items are international.
And can you tell me
And
what the
also,
top few were or are?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Tuscany, Cabo,
Mhm.
Caribbean. We have Bordeaux, Dublin, Ireland, a lot of Europe, a lot of all inclusives. You know, that's where we started, was with the all inclusive packages. Crazy that they're still the top sellers, but not that crazy actually, because we believe in covering all the
They're
bases,
simple.
right? It's like,
I don't have to think.
yeah,
Right.
have a beach option, have a once in a lifetime option, have a European option, have a group option, those kinds of things. Well, they're all working, and I don't mean to get down in the weeds about the products and stuff like that, but all these things being said, is we can't ignore the appetite to travel. You said you pontificated that Portugal is going to be huge. It's a beautiful country. It's a bucket list experience for a lot of
That's the
folks.
key right now is
Tuscany,
bucket list, by
Spain,
the way. In my neck of the woods,
absolutely.
coming out of
Yeah,
COVID, it was all
yeah,
bucket list. Tuscany, which I've sold forever, and from
yeah,
different vendors, yours obviously.
yep, yep,
I've been selling it for good 15 years, right? So
yep.
it hit numbers I had never
Hmm.
seen that same item. And I'm like, it's because people were locked up. Now I heard a term, and I don't know if you've heard this, revenge vacationing, I heard, is over.
I haven't heard that.
I didn't think about
Yeah,
this. It's revenge
yeah,
vacationing, meaning that everybody
yeah.
was locked up, had
It got taken away.
got right
Yeah.
when COVID finally, was manageable. Everybody got out and started vacationing. So, or
Hmm.
we're on the verge of it. So I was selling
Hmm.
items just at crazy numbers and crazy amounts of items. Now,
Hmm.
however, the revenge vacationing has subsided. People have been on a few
Hmm.
vacations. I think it's more
Hmm.
important than ever that nonprofits have to market them, because to get them to get that emotional attach and to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
that you're going to go on vacation in the next year anyway. Why don't you support us
yeah. Leverage your giving
and
budget
do
with your
that?
travel
Because
budget.
that in our household, that makes a big difference. We buy a lot at
That's
auctions and
real.
we know that money is going to that nonprofit. That actually we factor that
Yeah.
in when we're buying things.
I I'm once again, I will preface this. This is not an
No,
advertisement. Very easy from the position that I'm sitting in to say this. However, having items, exciting items and destinations like this will actually inspire more people to come, more people to bid, and more people you haven't met before
yeah,
that have never been exposed to your organization to come bid. Also, you'll have people bidding three, five, seven, $10,000 on items that you maybe have never met before. Let's say this. Let's add another caveat. Let's say someone bids on an item and they don't buy it. They're not the winning bidder, and it goes for $7,500. But you had someone a couple tables over bid 7,000 and lose the bidding. That's someone that was willing, that you've never met
right.
before, for instance. That person was willing to spend $7,000 on an item at your event. That's someone that you want to go introduce yourself to, thank them, right? And I'm not gonna, I don't have a crystal ball here, but would that person, in theory, Dean, would that person that had never been to the event before, do you think they would have given $7,000 in the
No,
funding week?
probably not. Not yet.
Probably
No,
not.
there.
Probably not.
It,
But cultivate that relationship. That's a great, you know what I mean? I could go on and on about all these stories, and you have more than I do because you're the one doing the events, right? But
what's the number one
I'm
goal though?
telling
What
you
is the
what,
number one goal for organizations to have these gala pass money? What is the actual goal? Do you know?
oh, I have a few different
Give me
ideas,
one, because
but tell
I
me.
think I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure I know, because I work with so many. But tell me
yeah.
what do you really think that gala is for?
We always say it's to tell it's obviously, well, we always say number one, it's a fundraiser. So let's
But
never lose sight of that.
pass
I mean,
that. We always know it's
yeah,
money, but pass
past
that.
that. Right, right. So a few things. It'll be to show folks what you have done. what you're doing and what you plan on doing and why you need the money and what that's going to serve, right? However, I mean, a big piece is introducing new people to your organization and cultivating those
Creating
relationships.
patrons for life.
That's what's up.
100%. And
Yeah.
I got to tell you,
Yeah.
now more than ever, and I'm seeing what I term generation blend. A couple of years
Mm.
ago, the older millennials were not a force yet in giving
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
they're
Hmm.
getting out of college, starting families, that kind of thing. Now,
Okay.
I am seeing, in fact, I will tell you, I did one 2 weeks ago that used to be 100% older audience, bigger wallets, older.
Okay.
It is now, and I kid you not, 75% younger,
Okay.
25%
Demographics
older.
changed. Yep.
In 2 years, that changed. And we noticed it the second year and went, okay, now for this third year coming up, we're going to have to radically change
Hmm.
how we do things. And I also, meaning the items we put in, how we're doing things. A raffle will be very
Yeah.
big there because they can't afford a lot of the live yet. So a raffle
Sure.
where everybody can
Hmm.
participate, whether they're in the room or not. Now, and I want to
Yeah.
say, and you've heard me say this a million times about consignment. I love my consignment
Hmm.
companies. I love you guys. I
Hmm.
always tell my client, consignment when we need it. I'm not about
Hmm.
throwing it in there for the sake of throwing it in there. That is,
Hmm.
I'm not getting a kickback from anybody. I look at my clients' needs first. I got to
Needs.
tell you,
Yep.
without a doubt, if we're doing a raffle, going back
Hmm.
to you're talking about an awesome item that draws people, and especially the younger audiences now, you
Hmm.
have to
Hmm.
put something so awesome in that raffle. 99% of my clients don't have access to a free trip to Portugal or whatever. This is where you
Right.
guys are any, consignment, but you've got something that's affordable. I always like to say buy
Hmm.
something 3 grand or less. That way you sell in
Hmm.
30
Hmm.
tickets on $100 a pop. But I'm also about
It's a
tiering
great way to go.
now.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
selling
Yeah.
3 for 250 and 7 chances for 500. Those 2 price points
Cool.
are going through the roof.
Cool. And I'll expand on that. I think we've said this before. Donors are consumers. Consumers like different price points. Some of them can afford live auction items. Many of them
Yep.
cannot. So it's a great entry level option. It's very fun. I don't think that we play into the gambling side of it and the 100 chances to win side of it enough because there's a supply and demand or a scarcity layer there that we probably don't exercise enough, which is very, very important. I mean it in the best possible way. We're big believers in different price points. We actually have a lot of clients right now doing the golden ticket for 100 tickets at $100 and then doing a higher
Oh,
end
yeah. Yeah.
golden ticket for 100 tickets for 250. And so they raise 10K with the 100 tickets at 100 and 25K with the 100 at 250 as well, kind of achieving the same thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we're in the same vein. Different price points work. Consumers love that, and I think that yeah, it's
But
a no-brainer and a great way to cultivate new relationships with
you
donors. Yes,
have to crazy market it because, and I'll give you a
for sure.
wonderful example from 2 weeks ago. So that
Okay.
same organization who I love, and I'm not going to name, they're awesome.
Yeah.
But they had, because one or two people doing everything and they really worked their heart out.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
had no
Common theme.
posters for the raffle anywhere except one little 8x10 frame with me at the live auction, right? Nobody knew about
Right.
it.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
got on the mic. I must have said 30 times, go buy this item or go buy this
Right.
raffle. It's item
Yeah.
100. We always put it first, the raffle first, so it's
Smart.
easy to find on your device.
Smart.
She had
Smart.
sold 2 tickets. I'm a big fan
Mhm.
of opening it 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before your event to sell to people who can't be
For
there,
sure.
right? She'd only
Absolutely.
sold two
Absolutely smart.
tickets. And she said to me when I showed up, oh my God, I've only sold 2 tickets. Should we cut these down to $50? And I said, no,
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to guess how much we sold? And this is just for the room. And it was about
Yeah.
500 people. Take a guess.
Oh, you sold out. I
Oh,
hope.
well,
Yeah.
I go beyond 100 tickets.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't cap it.
Well, you
20
could have done 200. Yeah.
$28,000 in because we did the 3 tiers.
Amazing. Amazing.
$28,000
Yeah. Yeah.
right then and
You were
there.
doing a lot of that from the microphone. I'm assuming a lot of that from the
That was
microphone.
all from the microphone because there was
It has
no
to be that way, in
marketing.
my opinion.
It
Yeah.
would have made life
Perfect.
easier had there been a
Yeah.
whole plan to market it prior. And again, you got,
Hmm.
consignment companies for the most part are going to have
Oh,
videos and all that.
yeah.
And then at
Yeah.
the event, it should have been everywhere. with that funding need and the live auction stuff, because the younger
Yep.
generation who really, I mean, everybody was buying it, but the younger generation
Hmm.
who we really need to buy at least one for 100, again,
Hmm.
they, it's a TikTok generation. It's short attention spans. They want to quickly find,
It's
where is that?
involved.
They're not going to go look for that
Yep.
item. You better have
Yep.
it front and
Yep.
center everywhere you
Yep.
go. Bathrooms and bars, people, that's the best places.
You segued really, really nicely. There was a third bullet point, which was the impetus for this conversation. We were saying advertise these things in high traffic areas. That sounds so simple. A lot of these things are probably sounding so fundamental, but obviously people need to hear this because you're at events where they're not doing it. We have plenty of events where we know they're not doing it. But high traffic areas, whether it's the golden ticket opportunity, the live auction preview, all the above, that can't be overlooked. That's a fundamental, but it can't be
I was
overlooked.
at a venue today, about an hour away from Atlanta, that I've never been to. It's a ballroom
Okay, cool.
essentially, but when
Yeah.
we walked through everything, because I like to put my input on where it should go, I identified like this triangle of where people were coming in, and a bar here and a
Mhm.
wall here. And I said, we're going to put the live auction posters here and the golden ticket
Mhm.
table here. This is going to match traffic. Everybody will go past this several times. And over here is the second space they're going to walk past a lot. And the sound is booming, and I can use my microphone by the live auction display. It's an art and a science. You're absolutely right. We have to figure
Yeah.
out where, and don't put it in a hallway when they're going from checkout to the ballroom. They don't
Right.
stop. You put it where
Yeah.
they need to stop and really look
Yeah.
at it and talk to
Yeah.
somebody. They're not going to do that
Yeah.
unless they have a drink in their hand. So get them in that
Yeah.
ballroom, get a drink in their hand, and put it in a place that's pretty high traffic where they feel comfortable stopping and wait and
Yeah.
looking for a while. It's window shopping
Yeah.
and talking.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you love our podcast, click the download button, rate us, and follow us on social media at HGA Fundraising. Get out there, start fundraising, and raise more money. See you next time.